The rain hammered down like God's own judgment, turning the streets of Midtown Manhattan into rivers of regret. I shoved open the door to the rooftop bar, my heels clicking like gunfire on the wet tiles, and there she was, Alara Voss, my shadow, my curse, laughing with the senior partner who just handed me my professional execution. "Selah," she said, her voice slicing through the storm. "You didn't think I'd let you win this one, did you?" But it wasn't triumph in her eyes. It was the raw, bleeding edge of something we'd both been running from for years. A mirror held up to the parts of ourselves we hated most. I was 28, a rising star at Kensington and Hale, the kind of black woman who'd clawed her way from a shotgun shack in rural Georgia to the glass towers of New York City on scholarships, grit, and a refusal to bend. Law school at Columbia had been my battlefield. And Alara? She was the enemy who looked just like me, ambitious, relentless, with a smile that could disarm a jury or gut a rival. We'd bonded freshman year over late-night cram sessions in the library, sharing takeout from that hole-in-the-wall falafel joint on Amsterdam Avenue, whispering dreams of toppling the patriarchy from the inside. Sisters in arms, we joked, clinking plastic cups of cheap wine. But by junior year, the rivalry had festered. She got the internship at the ACLU. I landed the clerkship with Judge Harlan. Every victory for one was a scar for the other. Now, 3 years out of school and grinding at the same firm, that scar had become a chasm. Tonight was the annual Kensington Gala. Black tie schmoozing in the bowels of the Plaza Hotel, where partners sipped $200 scotch and dangled promotions like bait. I'd prepped for weeks. The pitch for the Ramirez pro bono case, a high-profile civil rights suit against a corrupt NYPD precinct that could catapult me to equity partner. It was my ticket, my proof that I belonged in rooms like this, not as the diversity hire, but as the shark who devoured the competition. Alara had other plans. I'd spotted her across the ballroom earlier. That ash-blonde hair swept into an elegant chignon, her emerald gown hugging curves that turned heads and broke hearts. She was chatting up Harlan, the firm's silver fox with a penchant for blondes and backstabbing. By the time I'd woven through the crowd, past the air-kissing associates and the wives in Chanel, I'd overheard the tail end. "Selah's draft was solid. But yours? It's poetry. Alara. We'll announce tomorrow." My blood turned to ice. She'd stolen it. My notes. My research. The late nights I'd bled into that brief. How? We'd shared a Google Drive for collaboration, a truce from our law school days. Trust? We'd called it. Betrayal. Turned out. That's why I stormed the rooftop, the city lights smearing into neon halos through the downpour. The bar was emptying out, umbrellas blooming like black flowers as guests fled the squall. Alara lingered by the railing, alone now, nursing a half-empty martini glass that caught the lightning like a prism. "You bitch," I spat, the words tasting like bile. Water streamed down my face, mixing with the hot sting in my eyes. My cream silk dress clung to me like a second skin. Ruin. But I didn't care. "How long have you been plotting this?" "Since the day we met." She turned slowly, her hazel eyes widening, not with shock, but with that infuriating pity she reserved for me. Like I was the fragile one. "Selah. It's not. Don't." I closed the distance, my breath ragged, fists balled so tight my nails bit into my palms. The wind whipped her hair free, strands lashing like whips. Close. She smelled like jasmine and gin, the scent that haunted my dreams. "You took everything from me. My pitch. My shot. And for what? To prove you're the golden girl who never has to fight for scraps. Her laugh was bitter, hollow, echoing off the wet concrete. Scraps? Got. Selah. If that's what you think this is. She set the glass down with a clink, stepping closer until the heat of her body cut through the chill. Rain beaded on her lashes, making her look like a drowned Ophelia. You think I don't fight? Every day. I wake up wondering if they'll keep me around because I'm pretty enough to window dress their progressive image. You're the one they fear, the brilliant black woman who could run circles around them all. I'm just the echo. I wanted to slap her, to shatter that porcelain facade. But my hand froze midair, trembling. Because in her eyes, I saw it, the same hunger, the same terror of falling short. We'd been mirroring each other since that first seminar on constitutional law, when she'd argued against affirmative action and I'd dismantled her point by point, only for us to grab coffee afterward and admit we both hated the system that pitted us against each other. Prove it, I whispered, my voice cracking like thunder. Prove you're not just another white girl stealing the spotlight. She reached out then, her fingers brushing my wrist soft. Tentative. Like she was afraid I'd vanish. I can't. 'Cause maybe I am. But you're in me. Selah. Every win I chase, it's because I see you outpacing me. Every loss, it's you I measure against. The storm raged on, but the world narrowed to that touch, electric as a live wire. I yanked my hand away, but not before her warmth seeped into my skin, a promise of something forbidden. Sisters in arms? No. This was deeper, darker. A pull that had simmered beneath our barbs for years, unspoken because it could destroy us both. I fled the rooftop that night, hailing a cab in the deluge, my mind a whirlwind of rage and something perilously close to longing. Back in my cramped Brooklyn walk-up, I stripped off the sodden dress and paced the living room, floorboards creaking under my bare feet. The apartment was a testament to my hustle. Law journals stacked like Jenga towers, a single fern wilting on the windowsill from neglect. Photos of Mama and my little brother Jamal taped to the fridge, smiling faces from the family barbecue last summer in Atlanta, where I dodged questions about that nice doctor you met with vague smiles. Ilara's words clawed at me. Mirror. Was that what she was? The version of me that got to glide through doors held open by privilege, while I kicked them down. We'd grown up worlds apart. Me in dusty Georgia fields, her in some manicured Connecticut suburb, Daddy a hedge fund kingpin. Yet here we were. Same firm, same dreams, same unspoken ache. Sleep evaded me until dawn, when exhaustion pulled me under. I dreamed of her, not the rival, but the girl from law school. The one who'd shown up at my door with soup when I had mono, sitting cross-legged on my dorm floor reading aloud from Audre Lorde until I dozed off. We're warriors, she'd said then, her hand lingering on mine. I'd pulled away, blaming the fever. Monday morning hit like a freight train. The office buzzed with post-gala gossip. Associates huddled over coffee machines dissecting who wore what and who hooked up with whom. I arrived early, hair pulled into a severe bun, armor of a charcoal power suit, determined to confront Harlan before the announcement. But Ilara beat me to it. She was in his office when I stormed in, door ajar, her voice low and fierce. It's Selah's work, sir. Every line. Polished it. Sure. But the bones? Hers. Give her the lead. Silence stretched, thick as fog. Then Harlan's gravelly chuckle. Loyalty's admirable. But ambition's what gets you paid. We'll talk. I backed away, heart slamming against my ribs. She confessed? After stealing it? Confusion warred with fury as I retreated to my desk, burying myself in motions for a deposition. But focus fractured. Every keystroke echoed her rooftop plea. By lunch, the rumor mill churned. The Ramirez case was mine, with Alara as second chair. Whispers followed me to the break room. Voss threw herself under the bus for Brooks. Wild. I grabbed a yogurt and fled to the stairwell, needing air that didn't reek of betrayal's aftertaste. She found me there, 2 flights down, perched on the cold steps like a fugitive. Selah. I didn't look up. Save it. I heard you in Harlan's office. Noble. Alara. But why? Guilt. She sank beside me, her knee brushing mine, a spark that made me flinch. Up close in the dim light, she looked wrecked, shadows under her eyes, blouse untucked like she'd slept in it. Not guilt. Truth. I took the draft because if I didn't, you'd win. And I'd be left wondering if I even belong here. But handing it over? That was me choosing you over me. Her words hung, heavy as the humid air. I finally met her gaze, those hazel depths pulling me in like quicksand. Choosing me? We're not kids anymore. Alara. This isn't some dorm room pact. You could have tanked me. And I almost did. Her voice broke. A whisper. But I couldn't. Because hating you, it's hating myself. The parts that want to burn it all down but settle for climbing the ladder instead. You're the fire I wish I had. The stairwell closed in, the distant hum of the firm fading to white noise. My pulse thundered, a drumbeat urging me closer. I dated men safe, predictable ones who never saw the storm in me. But Alara? She was the thunder, the lightning, the eye of it all. I leaned in. Or maybe she did, it didn't matter. Our lips met, tentative, then desperate, tasting of salt and rain from memory. Her hand cupped my cheek, thumb tracing the curve of my jaw, and for the first time, the mirror didn't mock me. It reflected us whole, unbroken. We pulled apart gasping, foreheads pressed together. This changes everything, I murmured, fear coiling in my gut. She smiled. That wicked, knowing curve. Good. It's about time. The weeks that followed were a fever dream of stolen moments and sharpened edges. The Ramirez case consumed us. Depositions in fluorescent-lit conference rooms, strategy sessions that bled into midnight runs for diner fries on 7th Avenue. Harlan watched us like a hawk, praising our synergy, oblivious to the undercurrent, the way Alara's foot would hook around my ankle under the table, or how I'd catch her staring during arguments, lips parted like she was memorizing me. New York became our accomplice, the city's pulse syncing with ours. We'd escaped to her West Village loft after late nights, a sunlit space cluttered with abstract paintings and dog-eared poetry collections. Rich. Walker. The voices that had bound us in school. There, tangled in Egyptian cotton sheets that smelled of her. We'd unravel. Tell me about Georgia, she'd whisper, fingers tracing the scars on my knuckles from childhood scraps. I'd recount Mama's gospel hymns echoing through the pines, the weight of being the first to make it out. She'd share Connecticut winters, skating on frozen ponds while her parents' marriage cracked like thin ice. But intimacy bred vulnerability, and vulnerability invited ghosts. Mine arrived in the form of Marcus, my ex from law school, a golden boy associate at a rival firm, who'd proposed once in a fit of post-bar exam haze. We'd fizzled amicably, but seeing him at a networking mixer in Chelsea reminded me of the script. Straight, safe, survivable. He cornered me by the bar. All easy charm and cologne. Selah Brooks. Still breaking hearts? Heard about the Ramirez win. Beers on me, I demurred, scanning for Elara amid the crowd. She was across the room, laughing with a cluster of rainmakers, her green dress a beacon. But when our eyes met, something shifted. Doubt? Jealousy? Later, in the cab ride home, she was quiet, staring out at the blur of taillights. "You're thinking about him," she said finally. Not accusing, just stating. I bristled. "Marcus? That's ancient history, is it?" Her gaze pinned me, sharp as a cross-examination. "You light up around people like him. Safe. Predictable. Not. This." She gestured between us, the cab's intimacy suddenly claustrophobic. I grabbed her hand, the leather seat creaking. "This is what scares me. Elara. Not him. What if the firm's whispers turn to scandals? What if I lose everything I've built because I fell for my rival?" She softened, pulling me close. "Then we burn it down together." But the crack had formed. Work intensified. The case hit a snag when our star witness, a young Latina officer, recanted under pressure from the union. Harlan called an emergency huddle, his face thunderous. "One of you dropped the ball. Figure it out, or we're both sunk." Accusations flew in the war room, associates scattering like roaches. Elara and I locked horns publicly for the first time since the gala, me pushing for aggressive subpoenas, her advocating caution to protect the witness. "You're playing hero," she snapped, voice echoing off the glass walls. "This isn't a movie, Selah. Real lives are at stake, and you're playing it safe." I shot back, slamming a file down. Always the good girl. Hedging bets. The room emptied, leaving us glaring across the polished table. She stood first, chair scraping like a scream. "Maybe I am. But at least I don't charge in blind, dragging everyone down with me, including the woman I love." The word hung. A grenade. Love. We'd skirted it, buried it under passion and pretense. Now exposed, it wounded deeper than any rivalry. "You don't get to say that," I hissed, voice trembling. "Not after you stole my work. Not when you're still chasing approval like it's oxygen." Her face crumpled, the mask slipping. "I stole it to feel something real. To force you to see me. But you never do. You see the enemy, the mirror you want to shatter." I reached for her, but she recoiled, grabbing her coat. "Elara, fix the case. Selah. Win it for us." The door clicked shut behind her. A guillotine. That night, alone in my apartment, the walls closed in. I pored over witness transcripts until my eyes burned, piecing together the coercion, veiled threats, tampered evidence. By 3 a.m., I had a plan: risky, unorthodox, go public with a leaked memo, force the union's hand. It could backfire spectacularly, tank the case, end my career. But it was ours. I texted her roof. Now. She arrived soaked again. No umbrella. Hair wild in the wind. The city sprawled below. Indifferent. What is it? I handed her the memo printout, pages fluttering like wounded birds. This. It's everything. But it's all or nothing. She scanned it, eyes widening. Selah. This could destroy us. Harlan will bury you. Us, I echoed. Not you. Me. She looked up, rain carving paths down her cheeks. No. We. In that moment, the mirror cleared. She wasn't my enemy. She was the reflection I'd feared, fierce, flawed, fighting the same wars. I pulled her to me, our kiss a vow amid the tempest, teeth and tongues, desperation and devotion. We leaked it at dawn. Anonymous dropped to the Times. The fallout was biblical. Headlines screaming corruption. The firm in siege mode. Harlan raged. But the case surged, witness recanting reversed. Public outcry swelling. Protests bloomed in Times Square. Fists raised against the blue wall. Through the chaos, we held. Late nights blurred into lovers' quarrels and reconciliations. Her loft our sanctuary. I was scared, she admitted one dawn. Tangled in sheets. My head on her chest. Of losing you to the script. The straight line life. I traced her freckles. Constellations on pale skin. The script's a lie. This us is the plot twist. But betrayal's shadow lingered. A week before trial. Marcus called tipsy. Confessional. Heard you're with Voss. Balza. Brooks. But watch your back. Firms like ours don't do rainbows. His warning prickled. But I dismissed it. Until the trial eve. When Harlan summoned us separately. In his office. Smug as a cat with cream. Anonymous tip. Selah. Your liaison with Alara. Discretion's key in this business. My stomach plummeted. Who? He shrugged. Doesn't matter. Step down from lead. Let her take it. Quietly. Or the partnership track. Gone. Betrayal. Round 2. Not Alara, never her, but the system. The serpents we'd fed. I confronted her in the ladies' room. Mirrors mocking us. Did you know? Her horror was genuine. Arms wrapping me like armor. God. No. Selah. Fight it. With me. We did. Trial day dawned crisp. Autumn leaves carpeting the courthouse steps like confetti for the damned. The gallery swelled. Activists. Reporters. Mama in the front row. Her Bible clutched like a talisman. She'd flown up unannounced. Sensing my turmoil through transatlantic intuition. Alara and I tag-teamed the prosecution. Me dismantling alibis with surgical precision. Her weaving narratives that humanized the victims. Tears glistening as she evoked stolen futures. The jury hung on every word. The air electric. Closing arguments. Harlan's glare burned. But I owned the floor. Justice isn't a promotion, I thundered. Voice steady as granite. It's a mirror, reflecting our failures. Demanding we face them. Officer Ramirez didn't recant because she was weak. She was cornered. Like so many of us. Silenced until the truth screams louder than fear. Alara followed. Her voice a clarion. We're all rivals in this fight for dignity. For love. For the right to be seen. But enemies? Only if we let the system make us so. Verdict. Guilty on all counts. The courtroom erupted, hugs. Cheers. Mama's proud sob as she enveloped me. Outside. Flashbulbs popped. But we slipped away. Hands linked in the crowd. Harlan's retaliation came swift. Transfers threatened. Whispers of unprofessional conduct. We resigned in tandem. A joint email citing irreconcilable ethics. The headline spun it heroic. Power duo ditches firm after landmark win. Freedom tasted like diner coffee at dawn. Our new firm a scrappy civil rights outfit in Harlem, where ambition served justice, not egos. Alara and I built from scratch cases that mattered. Nights that healed. One evening, 6 months on, we stood on that same rooftop. City lights winking like old friends. No storm. Just stars pricking the velvet sky. Mirror, she murmured. Her ring simple gold, engraved with our initials catching the glow. We'd eloped in City Hall. Mama officiating via Zoom. Tears streaming. I pulled her close. Reflection. Whole. In the end, she wasn't my rival, my enemy, or even my sister in arms. She was my mirror cracked, true, eternal. And in her eyes, I finally saw home. The ink on our resignation letters had barely dried when the real storm hit. Not rain, but the kind that reshapes coastlines. Kensington and Hale didn't just let us go. They lawyered up, countersuing for breach of fiduciary duty over the leaked memo, claiming we'd violated non-competes by jumping ship with client intel. It was bullshit. Of course, pro bono work doesn't come with handcuffs, but Harlan played dirty, painting us as disloyal lovers who'd sold out the firm for headlines. We holed up in Alara's loft. Laptops glowing like campfires in the dim space. Takeout containers piling up like sandbags against the flood. This is war, I said one night. Scrolling through deposition prep at 2 a.m. My curls a frizzy halo under the desk lamp. The loft's exposed brick walls seemed to lean in. Judgmental. Alara, cross-legged on the rug in oversized sweats, handed me a mug of chamomile that had gone cold. Our war. Remember, Georgia? You said your mama taught you to fight with grace. I snorted. But her words landed soft. A bomb. Mama had wired in that steel magnolia core, sweet on the outside, unyielding within. She'd called after the verdict, her voice thick with pride over crackly line. Baby girl, you brought the light. Don't let him dim it. Now, facing this ambush, I clung to that. The countersuit dragged through spring into summer, New York's humidity mirroring our sweat. Publicly, we were darlings. Op-eds in the Times hailing our courageous stand, invitations to panels on queer rights and corporate accountability. Privately, paranoia gnawed. Was that barista at our favorite Soho cafe a Kensington plant? The anonymous emails, sluts in suits, they stung deeper than legalese. Alara bore it with that quiet ferocity I'd always envied. But cracks showed. One muggy July evening, after a brutal hearing where Harlan's shark of a litigator grilled her on our relationship timeline, she shattered a wine glass against the sink. Crimson shards glittered on the tile, her knuckles bleeding. They reduce us to this, she choked, sinking to the floor. Not lawyers. Not partners. Just the girls who fuck. I knelt, wrapping her hand in a dish towel, kissing the pulse at her wrist. Hey. We're more. Always were. But as I held her, doubt crept in. What if this was the mirror's cruel joke? Loving her had cost my armor. What if it cost us everything? The turning point came unbidden. In the unlikeliest place. A pride march down Fifth Avenue. Rainbows unfurling like war flags under a relentless sun. We'd planned to skip it, too raw, too exposed after the tabloid fodder. But Mama insisted, flying up again with Jamal in tow, his lanky teen frame dwarfing her. "Y'all march for me," she said, eyes shining. "The woman who prayed you'd find your truth." So we marched, Ilara's hand in mine, sweat slick and sure amid the throng. Drums pounded, chants rose, "Love is love," and for blocks, the city's pulse drowned our fears. Jamal hooped, hoisting a sign, "My sis is a boss lesbian." Mama linked arms with us, humming Amazing Grace off-key, her silver cross necklace glinting beside Ilara's rainbow pin. Halfway down, chanters parted for a counter-protest, suits with bullhorns, signs decrying moral decay. Harlan's face loomed among them, red as a beet, megaphone in hand. "This firm stands for family values." The crowd surged, but Ilara froze, her grip vice-tight. "Selah," I stepped forward, voice amplified by adrenaline. "Family? You mean the one where you pit women against each other for scraps? Where love's a liability unless it's straight and silent?" Mike's caught it, phone's word. Harlan sputtered. But the tide turned, activists swarming, drowning his bile in cheers. By March's end, viral clips had us trending, rival sisters rise. Kensington folded a week later, suit dropped amid PR Armageddon. We emerged scarred but standing, the Harlem firm our phoenix nest. Cases poured in, trans rights battles in Queens, wage theft rings in the Bronx. Ilara thrive, her narratives weaving empathy into ironclad arguments. I honed the strategy, turning underdogs to victors. But romance, that fragile bloom, needed tending. We carved rituals, Sunday soul food brunches at Sylvia's, where Mama FaceTimed from Atlanta, grilling Ilara on collard greens recipes. Honey, butter's a sin. But love? That's grace. Weekends hiking the Palisades, escaping concrete for cliffs overlooking the Hudson, where we'd picnic on prosciutto and figs. Her head in my lap as I read from Baldwin. Love takes off the masks that we fear we cannot live without. Yet the mirror's truth demanded confrontation. Fall brought Ilara's family, her first visit since coming out, in a terse email to her parents post-resignation. They'd arrived at Penn Station like specters, Daddy in a Brooks Brothers suit, crisp as new money, Mommy in pearls and a pantsuit, lips pursed like she'd swallowed lemons. The dinner at a Midtown bistro was a minefield. I sat beside Ilara, hand under the table on her thigh, anchor in the storm. Voss Senior. Eyed me like an exhibit. "So, Selah. Law school. Top 10%? Impressive. For your background." The barb landed, casual racism wrapped in condescension. Ilara stiffened. "Daddy." I squeezed her leg, smiling cool. "Fifth. Actually. And background? Means Georgia dirt under my nails and a mama who taught me to outwork entitlement." Mommy tittered nervously, forking her salmon. "We're just concerned, dear. This lifestyle, it's a phase, isn't it?" After the firm's stress, Ilara's fork clattered. "This isn't a phase. Selah's my life." The table iced over. Daddy cleared his throat. "We love you, pumpkin. But love doesn't pay trust funds." I excused myself then, heart pounding, but Ilara followed to the powder room. "I'm sorry," she whispered, backing me against the marble sink, her breath ragged. "They're relics. But you're my future." I cupped her face, thumbs brushing tears. "Then fight for it. Like we fought Kensington." She nodded, feared. And we returned, Ilara laying down boundaries like filigree. Accept us. Or lose me. They left early. Checks and signed. But a week later, a card arrived. Proud of you both. Doors open. Crack. Not shattered. Winter deepened our bond. Snow blanketing the city in hush. Christmas Eve. We strung lights in the loft. Jamal visiting with tales of high school drama. Mama shipping pecan pies that arrived half-crumbled but wholehearted. As midnight tolled, Ilara knelt by the tree. Ring box in hand. Wait. No, we'd done vows. This was different. A key. Silver and etched. To the house, she said. Eyes sparkling. In the Hudson Valley. Our mirror, reflecting back a life. I pulled her up, kissing her until the world spun. Hours. But humanism's arc bends slow. And betrayal's echo lingered in subtler forms. Spring unearthed Ilara's secret. The draft she'd stolen years back? Not just ambition's theft. She'd embellished it with her own research. But worse, shared snippets with Harlan pre-gala. Testing waters for a joint pitch. I wanted us to shine together, she confessed one rainy afternoon in our new weekend cottage. Wildflowers nodding outside the window. But fear twisted it. Hurt bloomed fresh. A thorn in the rose. You used me as a stepping stone, she wept. Raw. I used us. Forgive me. The mirror stared back. My own fears had mirrored hers, stealing moments, hiding us from colleagues until pride forced my hand. Forgiven, I said. But no more shadows. Summer solstice marked our recommitment. A handfasting in the cottage garden. Just us and the fireflies. Cords of silk binding wrists as we vowed. In rivalry and reflection. I choose you. Work woven. Seamless. The Ramirez fallout birthed a class action tsunami. Settlements funding scholarships for queer law students. Our legacy. Etched in ink and impact. Mama visited often. Her Bible now dog-eared beside Lord's essays on Ilara's nightstand. Love's the greatest law, she'd say, patting our joined hands. Yet the dramatic pulse never fully quieted. One crisp October dawn. A call shattered peace. Jamal. Arrested in Atlanta for protesting a voter purge. Ironic. Given my civil rights grind. Sis. They roughed me up. Mama's freaking. Ilara and I flew south. The plains hum a dirge. Georgia welcomed us with magnolia heat. The courthouse a squat brick beast from my nightmares. Mama waited outside. Face etched with worry. But her hug fierce. My warriors. Inside. The air reeked of stale coffee and injustice. Jamal? Bruised but unbroken. Sat chained 17. Eyes defiant. The charge. Disorderly conduct, but we smelled setup. His activism mirroring mine. A local cop's grudge. Ilara worked magic. Pro bono motion filed on the spot. Her Connecticut polish disarming the judge. I cross-examined the arresting officer. Unearthing dashcam lies that crumbled like dry clay. By dusk, charges dropped. Jamal free, hugging us tear-streaked on the steps. That night, family dinner at Mama's, fried chicken steaming, sweet tea sweating, laughter bubbling like yeast. Ilara fit, passing cornbread, sharing stories of our New York adventures. Jamal grilled her on everything. You really beat that fancy firm? And she did. With grace. As stars wheeled overhead, porch swing creaking, Mama pulled me aside. She's your mirror. Baby. Shows you the light you already got. I nodded. Throat tight. Back in the city. The incident rippled media buzz. A podcast invite, rival sisters, from courtroom to closet. We declined, choosing quiet victories. But climax brewed in the unlikeliest betrayal. Ourselves. November chill brought Alara's burnout, nights staring at ceilings, cases blurring into ghosts. What if we're not enough? She whispered one frost-laced morning. Coffee untouched. The world's still crooked. We fix one leak. 10 more spring. I held her. Heartbeat sinking. Then we keep patching. Together. Therapy followed, queer-affirming sessions in Chelsea, where we unpacked the rivalry's roots, her imposter syndrome from daddy's shadow, my armor forged in microaggressions. You're not rivals, our counselor said, glasses glinting. You're allies in drag, healing hummed, slow as jazz. By year's end, the cottage became home base, weekends fleeing sirens for wood smoke and stargazing. Alara planted a garden, roses and lavender, thorns and soothe mirroring us. One equinox eve, fire crackling, she read from a journal, entries from law school, sketches of me mid-argument, fierce and luminous. You were always my north, she said. I traced her palm. And you? My echo louder. Trua. The mirror, once fractured, now gleamed, not enemy, but essence. In her, I found not just love, but the self I'd chased across courtrooms and cityscapes, whole, unapologetic, alive. Yet drama's threat pulls taut. Spring heralded crisis, a high-stakes case, defending a trans teen against conversion camp horrors in upstate nowhere. The opposition, a theocratic firm bankrolled by Kensington alums, Harlan lurking as consultant, trial week, tensions coiled. Alara let direct. Her voice a scalpel on the kid's testimony, 17. Eyes haunted but hopeful. I handled cross, eviscerating the expert witness, a smug shrink peddling snake oil. Jury deliberated 2 days. We paced the motel hallway, rain lashing windows like accusations. If we lose, Alara murmured. It's on me, I pushed too soft. Bullshit. I pinned her to the door. Kiss fierce. We win or learn. Together. Verdict. Victory. Camp shuttered.
Precedent setembre.
But post-trial, Harlan cornered us in the parking lot. Sleet sheeting down.
Touché.
Ladies. But this war? Far from over. His threat hung. But we drove south laughing. Radio blasting Aretha. R.I.P.C.T. Back in the city. Humanism bloomed. We mentored at a Brooklyn youth center. Queer kids with fire in their veins, mini-MES. Echoing our start. Jamal interned summers. Absorbing strategy like osmosis. Mama retired to a bungalow near us. Bridge games with Alara, her new gospel. Years folded 5. 10. The firm grew. A beacon for the marginalized. Alara's book, Mirrors of Justice, Rivalry, and Revolution, top charts. Forward by me. She saw me before I did. On our 10th anniversary. That rooftop again, aged now. Laugh lines etching our faces. Selah at 38 with silver threading my curls. Alara 37. Freckles fading but eyes still storm bright. City below. Eternal. To mirrors, she toasted. Champagne fizzing. To us, I replied. In reflection. No enemies, just echoes of grace. Decades mark brought reckonings soft as autumn fog. The cottage, once weekend refuge, evolved into full-time haven. Commute to the city, a small price for mornings with coffee on the deck. Mist rising off the Hudson like spirits ascending. We'd traded lofts for land. A sprawling Victorian with creaky floors and a library where Ilara's manuscripts piled beside my case files. Spines worn from shared readings. But mirrors multiply, reflecting not just lovers but lineages. Jamal's wedding to a software was named Theo. All dimples and data drew us south. Georgia's sun baking the backyard tents where Mama's kin gathered. A tapestry of braids and ball caps. Ilara, in a linen sundress that hugged her still-toned frame, navigated Aunt's side eyes with charm schooled in Connecticut drawing rooms. Y'all's Sayla done good, one cousin conceded over peach cobbler, eyeing Ilara's plate. She the one keepin' my girl honest. I caught Jamal later, tugging his tie loose by the creek. You sure? Lil bro? Theo's solid. But marriage? Smearers. Man. Shows your cracks. He grinned, slinging an arm around me. Cracks make the light. Sis. Like you and Ilara taught me. The toast that night. His words, simple and searing, had Ilara tearing up, her hand finding mine under the table. Mama, resplendent in sapphire, raised her glass. To kin. Blood and chosen. Y'all my miracles. Northbound train hummed with afterglow. But undercurrents stirred. Ilara's manuscript sequel stalled. Words failing where once they'd flowed. It's derivative, she confessed one fog-shrouded dawn, staring at her laptop like an adversary. Rivalry to romance been done. What now? I brewed tea. Strong as resolve. Now? The messy middle. We're not rivals anymore, we're us. Write the sustain. She did. Eventually, echoes unbroken. Sustaining love in the long haul, a raw tome, grappling with complacency's creep, the quiet betrayals of habit. Critics hailed it. Book tours pulled her to coasts, leaving me to hold the firm solo, a rhythm we'd mastered but never loved. Betrayal revisited in guises evolved, not theft, but drift. Her tour extended LA panels, Chicago keynotes, weeks blurring to months. Calls grew clipped. Text emoji placeholders. Miss you, I type into voids. Her replies delayed. Miss you more. Busy day. Insecurity. That old serpent. Coiled. Was it the road's allure? Admirers in green rooms. Sharp-suited and starstruck? Or deeper the mirror dulling? Reflection fading to familiarity, crisis-crested mid-tour. A frantic call at 3 a.m. Sayla. It's bad. Ilara's voice. Frayed as worn silk. A signing in Boston. Post-panel Q&A turned ambush, Harlan. Great but venomous. Cornering her with a reporter in tow. Tell the truth. Fuss. Brooks used you. Diversity poster child riding your coattails to glory. The clip went viral. Ilara's face paling. Words stumbling. That's not how it was. But doubt's seed. Planted years back. Sprouted in comments. Token higher alert. White savior complex. She flew home shattered. Crashing into my arms at Penn Station. Sobs muffled in my coat. He twisted it. Again. And I froze. What if he's right? What if I was the crutch? We retreated to the cottage. Phone silenced. World on mute. Days bled. Walks in the woods. Her hand in mine. Leaves crunching confessions. I pushed the book to prove something, she admitted by the fire. Embers mirroring her flush. To you. To me. But it's us against the noise. Not for it. I pulled her close. Lips to temple. We've been crutch and cane. Rival and reflection. Doesn't make it less. Therapy resumed. Virtual now, sessions dissecting the drift. Harlan's ghost as catalyst. Betrayal's not external, our counselor urged. It's the fear we betray ourselves. Healing hummed through summer's heat. Alara wrapped the book. We self-published. Intimate launch at the youth center. Kids reciting passages. Their voices a chorus of continuity. Harlan's echo faded. Drowned in applause. Autumn gifted surprise. A pregnancy test. Positive via donor. Our choice after years of quiet talks. A mini mirror, Alara joked. Hand on her still flat belly. But eyes wide with wonder and terror. Mama hooped over video. Knitting booties forthwith. Jamal? Uncle in waiting. Sent onesies emblazoned with future litigator. The firm adapted. Remote hearings my norm as Alara nested. Cravings for pickles and poetry sending me on midnight runs. Winter birthed Elena, named for Alara's grandmother. A nod to roots, tiny fists flailing like arguments won. Her cry pierced the dawn. A hook sharper than any hook, life demanding entry. Motherhood refracted us anew. Sleepless nights. Alara rocking Elena while I prepped briefs by lamplight. Trading shifts like sentinels. She's got your fire, Alara murmured one bleary 4 a.m. Elena nursing. Milk scent heavy. And my doubts. I kissed her crown. Perfect storm. Challenges crested gentle. Colic symphonies. Teething tantrums. The juggle of court dates and daycare drop-offs. Betrayal's specter revisited in micro. A missed anniversary dinner for a late deposition. My guilt mirroring Alara's tour regrets. We're human, we'd affirm. Apologies sealed in slow dances to Coltrane. By Elena's first birthday, balloons bobbing in the cottage. Cake smeared on chubby cheeks, humanism's arc shone clear. We'd built not empire, but empire of empathy, the firm of fellowship. Cases catalysts for change. Alara taught writing workshops at the center. I mentored on resilience. My scar stories scripture. Drama's denouement arrived unscripted. A Harlan-shaped full circle. Elena 3. Pandemic scars fading. We attended a gala, not Kensington's, but a queer legal alliance bash in the village. He was there. Frail now. Came tapping across the ballroom. Eyes locking on us mid-dance, Alara and I. Elena perched on my hip. Curls wild as mine. He approached halting. Voice reedy. Brooks. Fuss. Didn't expect this. Alara tensed. But I nodded Elena toward the dessert table with Jamal. Then faced him. Life's plot twists. Harlan. He chuckled. Wheezy. You too. You broke me. But damn if you didn't remake something better. Pause. Eyes misty. I'm sorry. For the pitting. The poison. Watch your girl. Teach her to fight fair. Alara softened. Extending a hand. We will. Truce. He shook. Frail grip firm. Truce. He passed months later quiet. In hospice. Obit noting reformed advocate. No malice lingered, just lesson. Even villains mirror our shadows. Years cascaded. Elena's first steps echoing down cottage halls. Her questions. Mama Sela. Why rivals? Answered in stories sanitized sweet. School plays. Soccer games. Her hazel eyes Alara's sparkling with our shared spark. 48. I ran for judge, family court. Brooklyn bench, A platform for the marginalized. Campaign trail brutal. Ads smearing radical agendas. Whispers of alternative lifestyle. Alara campaign fiercer. Stumping with Elena's crayon signs. Vote for justice. Election night. Harlem headquarters electric. Confetti cannons primed. Results ticked in. Pulse pounding. When the wind flashed narrow. Hard-won cheers deafen. Alara's kiss salt-sweet with tears. In Chamber's first day. Gavel heavy as history. I hung our photo rooftop. Rain-soaked. Young and fierce. Mirror on the wall. Reflecting not rivals. But revolutionaries. Legacy unfolded. Rulings rippling reform. Elena apprenticing summers. Her law school acceptance Columbia. Full circle sealing the loop. Alara's third book. Co-authored. Mirrors multiplied. Legacies of love. Gray threaded our hair. Hands vain but linked. We returned often to that rooftop, now with Elena. Her wife. A poet with fire-red tresses. Grandbabies toddling at our feet. Grandmas, she teased. Your story's epic. Indeed. From hook to horizon. Rivalries blaze to reflections glow. No enemies, just echoes. Eternal. Enfolding. In the city's ceaseless hum. We stand mirrored, whole.